Okay, so I've got a bit of a presentation today about our RC Opt examinations in Greece. We came to Greece for the first time this October, and we will be here every year forthwith. So, as you can see, in 2023, this year, the Royal College of Ophthalmologists expanded our RC Opt examinations. We run them not only in the UK, we run them in several other countries around the world, and for the first time this year, we brought the exam to here in Athens as a natural hub to reach candidates all across the European mainland. We worked together with the Hellenic College of Ophthalmology and delivered our exams in Athens in October. We had a mix of UK and local Greek examiners, actually and an examiner from Denmark. The exams were held at the Radisson Blu Hotel for the Viva examination at the OMMA clinic for the OSCE examination. So our FRC Opt, it's our gold standard examination for ophthalmology. It comprises of 4 exams that must be passed, which is the Part 1 FRC Opt, which is a written examination, MCQ, delivered online. The Refraction Certificate, which is a practical examination. The Part 2 FRC Opt written examination, another MCQ written examination delivered online. And the Part 2 FRC Opt oral, a Viva and OSCE exam, which is the final exit examination. The good news, as I just mentioned, is both our Part 1 FRC Opt and Part 2 FRC Opt written examinations are delivered completely online. That means Greek candidates, or anyone else in the world, can take 3 of the 4 components of the FRC Opt while also sitting the oral examination in the same region. So these exams can be taken locally without the requirement or expense involved to travel to the UK. Having the FRC Opt qualification as an ophthalmologist has many advantages. As I mentioned, it is the most prestigious ophthalmology qualification, giving reputational enhancement of training and education status. Having the FRC Opt is very good for the CV, it's very good for coming to the UK, it is the gold standard qualification. As you can see, also it's the only qualification for ophthalmologists that is recognised by the UK's General Medical Council for registration onto their specialist register and progression to a consultant level post. This provides access for overseas ophthalmologists anywhere in the world to come and work in the UK. If you ever want to come in and work in the UK as an ophthalmologist, this is the qualification that you need to have. As I mentioned, it's a very globally recognised qualification, the gold standard. As well as Egypt, we run the exams in these countries: Malaysia, Singapore, India, Pakistan, here in Greece, the Caribbean. As I mentioned, our exams are the highest standard, and this same standard applies to all global sit-ins, so we don't water down the standard depending on what country that we're in. It's exactly the same standard, exactly the same high standard wherever we go. We also have the Duke Elder examination. This is an undergraduate entry-level examination for students in medical schools. Again, this is open to any student worldwide. It's a 90-question MCQ paper with ranked results, broadly based on undergraduate level ophthalmology with clinical questions. Students for this examination have to apply through a medical school. Part 1, FRC Opt examination, the first of the 4 components of the FRC Opt. It's delivered remotely, online, can be taken anywhere in the world in the comfort of your own home or workplace. There are sit-ins 3 times a year, January, April and October, and there are 6 sit-ins allowed. Candidates need to be registered with the GMC, or if you're overseas, hold a medical degree that is recognised by the GMC. There's extensive information on this Part 1 examination on our RC Opt website. Basically, the exam consists of this: applicable basic sciences. The exam has evolved quite a lot over the years. Our senior examiner is Mr. Daniel Nolan. We have a Part 1 exam subcommittee that sets the exam questions and sets them to the standard that we require. We have a very diverse team internationally involving post-FRC Opt Part 2 trainees in the UK. And we also have international consultants on this subcommittee as well now, writing questions. And we're constantly hoping to broaden the field of expertise for this. So, as I said, it's evolved quite a bit over the years. It used to have an essay paper, and the essay paper and the MCQs have negative marking. Both the negative marking for these papers was removed. The essay was then changed to a constructed response question paper, CRQ. Then the CRQ was disbanded about 3 years ago, I think, and changed to a second MCQ paper. All of these changes, as with anything in the UK, has to go through extensive GMC consultation. They approved everything. And like I said, it's now 100% paperless and completely electronic. This is the structure. It's two-hour papers, 90 questions each. You get roughly 120 reused questions for each paper. We have an extensive bank of questions, so we reuse about 120, and then 60 of those is brand new questions written by our subcommittee members. It's standard set using the EBLE method, online proctored from any location. Each 2-hour exam is continuous, so you don't pause and restart. Once you start, you have to finish the 2 hours. You have an hour's lunch break in between, and then you do paper 2, which is also 2 hours. This is the syllabus. You can see many things: anatomy of eye and orbit, microbiology, genetics, pathology, optics. It's quite a broad range as an introduction to ophthalmology. This is the EBLE scoring. Don't ask me to explain how this works. The examiners do this. It's a bit too mathematical for me. But each question has like an easy, moderate, hard ranking, and then they all calculated to produce a pass mark for the exam. After the exam, we have a very robust adjudication process where any poorly or non-discriminating questions are looked at by the senior examiner. If they're considered to be onerous or dubious, they are removed or deleted from the exam, and the EBLE scoring is then redone. It's a lot of work, highly labour intensive for the examiners. Obviously, we will be delighted if everyone passes examination, but I don't think the GMC would. It is an entry-level examination. Some people just like to just give it a go and might fail it, but then if you know your stuff, you should pass it quite easily. Yes, some tips from our senior examiner here is, do not get bogged down. Just move on when you're doing the exam. Keep to time. Don't focus too much on trying to answer one question. If you're stuck, you can flag it and come back to it at a later time. Read the questions very carefully. Try not to misread or get confused by any wording, especially the most likely and least likely can be confusing if you don't read it properly. Most likely means which is the right answer. Least likely means which is the wrong answer. All the guidance and tips and everything about this exam is on our website. So, and other information about the Part 1. It's not a very competitive exam. Pass rate goes between 30 and 45%. We have lots of MCQ resources. Like I mentioned, two out of 3 questions are old questions and 1/3 is brand new. We are considering, or actually we are working on it, we're more than considering it now. We are going to probably sometime in 2024 is release our entire question bank online. So the question bank questions and answers will be released publicly and can be used as a revision tool to take this examination. In the UK, it's UK-based OST trainees must pass this exam before entering the 3rd year of OST. So after you pass the Part 1, we have the refraction certificate. So this is an OSCE clinical examination assessed in 10 OSCE stations in 5 rooms. It's now a hybrid examination post-COVID. During COVID, we had to get rid of real-life patients and use all of these model eyes that you can see there, these fake heads. We've now adopted a hybrid model where 2 of the stations have these simulated retinoscopies, and the other 3 stations have real-life patients, and 2 of those are subjective refraction. It's very strict timing. It's all done via an iPad. It's a 10-minute per station. After the 10 minutes, the iPad switches off, so there's no chance of having extra time. Each OSCE station is worth 15 marks, so you can score a total of 150 in this examination. We just had this exam this week in Birmingham and had nearly an 80% pass rate. With some very high scoring candidates getting about 140 out of 150. So it has quite a high pass rate, this exam. Again, this has evolved over the years. It moved from a single patient refraction to a series of OSCE type stations, which it is now. It's standardised as much as possible, very fair. It tests the level of practical refraction which is necessary for general ophthalmic practice. A lot of ophthalmologists need to have a good basic level of refractive knowledge, and this examination provides it. The necessity of this exam has been discussed at college level and with the GMC. It tests objective and subjective refraction as well as for symmetry. Like I said, we use the model eyes and then real-life patients for the non-cyclo retinoscopy. Subjective refraction uses patients. We have a fascimeter station as well. It tests that the candidate has the basic but solid skill in refraction, so you can maximise visual potential for straightforward patients in real-life clinical practice, as also to be able to check and prescribe glasses as part of your job. Yeah, this is standard set using a different method called the Hofste. You have like a minimum acceptable and a maximum acceptable pass mark before the exam, which is decided, and the pass mark is adjusted as the results are collated. So what we find is if most of the candidates score very highly, you find the pass mark goes up. If the candidates score lower as a group, the pass mark goes down. So it's all related. If it does take into account the difficulty of the exam. Like I said, it has a very, very good pass rate, this examination at the moment. Tips for the refraction. Definitely try and get hold of one of the model eyes if you can. They can be found online quite easily, and practice with those as much as possible. Familiarise yourselves with fascimeters. You are responsible for your own timekeeping. Each station is divided into 2 tasks, so you have the 10 minutes to do both tasks. I wouldn't recommend spending 9 minutes on one task and then only leaving 1 minute to do the other. You want to try and divide your time equally. Don't mix up the positive and negative lenses. Try not to manhandle the model head. You have to treat them like they're real-life patients. Again, check our website and all the embedded links. We have tutorial videos, iPad demos, everything that you need to be fully prepared for this examination. Finally, we have the Part 2 oral examination. 2 components, a structured viva, which is a 1-day exam, 6-station circuit, 5 viva stations, and a communication skills OSCE. There are several rounds throughout the day to accommodate as many candidates as we possibly can. You can have a rest station in your round, so we could try and fit in 6 or 7 candidates if possible to get more through the ranks. There are 2 examiners per station, interview-style exam questions for the viva, and in the communication skills OSCE we have an ophthalmologist examiner and a lay examiner who are there with a role-playing patient, an actor who's playing the role of whatever the scenario is going to be for the communication skills. That happens on day 1, and then the candidates come back for day 2 for the OSCE examination, which is a 1-day clinical exam, 5 stations, 20 minutes per station for the OSCE. So it's a longer circuit, again, several rounds throughout the day, 2 examiners per station, a mix of real patients and videos. We have a hybrid format for this as well now, post-COVID. Structured vivas, what's the reason behind them? Why do we have this examination? This gives you some insight, what we are looking for, insight into your ability, your knowledge, decision-making, your depth of knowledge, especially recognition of safe and competent clinicians, and how you do face-to-face contact. These are the aims, target of assessment. You get like an initial question, you may follow a clinical vignette, there may be some supplementary or probing questions, and there are 4 marking points. The answers are provided to the examiners with a marking guide on how to score the candidate. Like I said, 6 stations in the communication skills OSCE, 5 to 10 minutes per station. It says 5 there because one of the stations, HP and EBM, is actually 2 stations in one. You get 5 minutes each. We have a total of 10. 2 examiners a station. These are the stations that you'll find in the viva. Patient investigation. There are 2 patient management stations. Attitudes, ethics and responsibilities. Audit research and EBM, and health promotion and disease. They are the 2 5-minute stations coupled together to make 1 10-minute station. And then you have the communication skills OSCE. For example, patient investigation, 10 minutes. This is the kind of stuff you can expect to be tested upon. Patient management, attitudes, ethics and responsibilities, duties of a doctor, governance, appraisal, revalidation, ethics and consent, audit research, EBM, principles, experimental design, statistics, health promotion and disease. You can ask questions on screening, infection control, drug side effects, patient-doctor safety. The debrief with the examiners afterwards. We asked them, did the question work well? Was it too hard, too easy? Was it misleading, too vague? Any questions good at being a discriminatory question? This is the hybrid model we now use for the Part 2 FRC Opt oral clinical. Obviously, pre-COVID, it was all completely 100% patient-based. During COVID, we had to get rid of the real-life patients like I did with refaction, and everything became a video-based OSCE. It still took place face-to-face, but a candidate would go into a station, and rather than be confronted with a real-life patient, there would be a video, a specially filmed video on an iPad, presented on an iPad. This is the mix now that we have for our hybrid exam. As you can see, the first 4 of the 5 stations have 2 patients and 1 video. But neuro-ophthalmology, we aim for 3 real-life patients. It's very hard to recreate neuro-ophthalmology conditions on a video, so we do try to get real-life patients for that station. Hybrid model, patients and videos. So we created these special videos during COVID to make sure that the exams could keep running during the pandemic and not delay anybody's training. These are sample videos. I think I can play them. These are sample slit lamp videos that you'll find in posterior segment and cataract. This is a sample of a facial observation video. Oh, it's me. So this is a video about external eye pupil reactions. So these are the kind of videos you would expect to be presented with on the iPads during the OSCE, certain stations. These are the cases used for the videos and real patients. So what we do is when we recruit a host, we send out a wish list of conditions for the patients to provide us to create a very good, robust, standardised exam. These are the kind of conditions that we ask for. So you could be presented with any mixture of any of these in those relevant stations. We also have an award that started 2 years ago. It's specifically designed for overseas candidates. You have to be living overseas, not in the UK, working overseas, and the highest scoring candidate in the Part 2 oral gets a prize of £1,000 and an engraved glass trophy. We've just announced our 3rd winner, who is a guy from Alexandria in Egypt who took the exam in Cairo last month. The previous 2 winners, strangely, were both from Baghdad, Iraq, and they all did fantastically well in the Part 2 oral overseas and were the highest scorers. So you have a chance as an overseas ophthalmologist to be in a chance with of winning this prize. Our examiners are our backbone of our exams. Without our examiners, we won't have our exams. So for our overseas exams, we use local examiners who have applied and been approved as verified examiners. They have to go through exactly the same recruitment process as our UK examiners. They have to have exactly the same prerequisites to be approved as an examiner. We are very, very fussy about our standards, and that applies to all examiners. Overseas, we tend to pair a local examiner with a UK examiner in each station. All examiner expenses are paid. We take the examiners out for dinner every evening because they do give up their time for free at the end of the day. They don't get paid for this. They just get their expenses, travel and food expenses paid. All examiners, to become an examiner for the college, have to have FRC Opt. If an examiner doesn't have FRC Opt by examination, they can apply for FRC Opt by election, which basically looks at their career history. If they've got a great career history as an ophthalmologist, they will be approved and be given an FRC Opt by election, which then qualifies them to become one of our examiners. These are our written dates for 2024 for the Part 1 and Part 2 written exams. You can see there's 3 sittings for Part 1. The January one is closed for applications already, but applications open soon for the April exam. We have the next Part 2 written in June 2024. Our next Part 2 oral exam in Athens is on this date, 7th and 8th of October 2024. Thank you. That's it.